A very good afternoon to everyone, and thank you so much for joining me. So, for today's special session, we are going to discuss another interesting topic, unity in diversity. The speaker for the day is Dr. Rani Desai, and it's my pleasure to introduce her to the audience. Dr. Rani Desai comes with multifaceted interests and skills. Post her post-graduation from in HR, she's worked for about 30 years across diverse multicultural organizations, where she's held and led global head human resources and organization development role. Her industry experience includes IT, engineering, design services, Big Four, among others. She's an executive coach and primary passion is to work with women professionals. She's equally passionate about mentoring professionals and young entrepreneurs. Dr. Desai has also completed her master's in law from University of Mumbai, which gives her insights in legal issues. She completed her doctoral thesis in the subject of empowerment and has curated a program specially for women and is being called as In Power. Besides, she is passionate about serving her family roots in the village in Karnataka and has completed several projects in backward village like water irrigation. She, along with her husband, have launched a polytechnic engineering college. They've also been nurturing a school in their village and is now donating land for constructing higher secondary school to the state government in the village. This interest is perhaps because of her graduation in social work. She's on the core committee of CII, Western Region HR and IR subcommittee, and partner with one of the leadership consulting organization. Her philosophy is service to humanity, is service to God. So with this introduction, now I request Dr. Desai to kindly address our audience. Over to you, madam.
Thank you very much, Ramya. Firstly, I would like to thank all of you. I would like to thank NUSSD. I would like to thank Chitra. I would like to thank the director, Mr. Tanmay Naik. Thank you, Ramya. And thank you, more important, thank you, students, for having me here today. It's indeed, it gives me a great joy always to be with the students. And today's afternoon session is something that we have curated. And this program is being curated with the help of you all. And when I say you all, it means the students. Because when we were talking about a subject on diversity, we thought it was important to understand and know what are some of those thoughts that go through the minds of the students who are actually, you all are on the anvil of stepping into the corporate, taking up the professions, and still at the same time being in the academics. So to say, you all are professionals, yet not professionals, but going through the, what you say, the nurturing to become professionals. So therefore we said that let us try and understand and get from you what is your expectation, what are your thinking, what are your thoughts, and that's how the whole program has been curated. And here I would like to really thank those of you who sent us some of your questions or queries, and it was very interesting to go through those queries, which included a varied spectrum of questions in the space of even including legal matters, legalities. It included something on the societal structure. It included something on to say questioning some of the basic societal foundations to say why this is so for so and so, why this is not for so and so. There were some apprehensions also that have come out. And this is a good start, I feel, to understand about diversity and how we can bring unity in that diversity which each one of us live in. If we look at our families are normally, and especially the joint families, has actually got three generations. I mean, you got grandparents, you got parents, and you got the children. At times, in the families which are more mature, there is also there is a younger one, and sometimes there are four generations living within the um, same family. So there is a lot of differentiation in the generations that you live, right from somebody who is maybe in 80s to somebody who is maybe 8 months old in the family. But that is a spectrum and the beauty of the Indian society that we live in. So, coming when we were one rider, I would like to mention here is that when we were looking at the questions and the statements which had come, some of the aspects are not really within the purview of this speech, of this talk today. Huh? Like there is some question asked on politics. We are not dealing with politics here. There are some questions asked about the elections. We are not dealing with the elections here, but we are going to try and address those of the queries or the questions that arise, which will become the foundation, the basic foundations for you to start thinking about some of the aspects before you go into the corporate or the professional world, so to say. Looking at the time that we have, my endeavor would be to try and do the best within the given time that we have. If that is fine with you all, please give me a thumbs up on the chat. Yeah, no thumbs up. So it's difficult for me to know whether it's okay or what not okay. Nevertheless, let's proceed further. So when we talk about diversity, and that's something a buzzword that's become a buzzword today in the industry. We talk about diversity. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for those thumbs up. Thanks, Sunil. Thanks, Rashid. Thanks, Harshit. Nikita. Thank you so much. Great. So, when we talk about diversity, become a buzzword. And this buzzword today in the corporates, what they're really trying to look at is I'm talking on an average, and most of the organizations is dealing with the gender diversity to say how many women we have, how many men we have, what is a kind of leadership in the leadership, how many percentage of women are there in the leadership, how many percentages are in the this thing. But that is a separate aspect, and that's a separate issue altogether. But we should address, and before we go into the corporate or wherever or the profession, we have to understand some of the basic foundations and sort them out before stepping into the corporate world. And Chitra, can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So I hope this slide is visible to everyone. So here are these questions which have come, and these questions have come from you. The whys of the social discrimination in the upbringing of the boys and girls. The boys given more freedom, early marriages of the girls expected to give up their jobs post marriages. But here it is not about why do parents do it, but it is about a societal construct, the society's framework that we are all in. The question is it right? Is it wrong? The answer is nobody can give these answers to say whether it's right or wrong. But yes, there is a difference in the upbringing of the way the girl child is brought up. There is a difference in how the boys are raised. There is a difference in the expectations of the girls, and there is an expectation, different expectation sets from the boys. Very small examples, and here is in one of the case where I was mentoring a young student. So I mentioned to the student, I said, do one thing. I said, observe in your own home if you have siblings. He said, yes, I have two sisters in the house. I'm the only son. So I said, all right, I want you to observe your mother, the way she deals with you and the way she deals with with your sisters for a week, and report back as to what you say, what comes across your mind. And sure enough, I mean, the expectations from the girls were that come and help me more in the kitchen. Come and help me in the washing. Come and help me getting water. The son was concerned. It was more of a relaxed, okay, Bhaiya wants water, so please go and give him water. But the Bhaiya is not told that please get up and go and get yourself a glass of water. Now, when these kind of discriminations start, or this kind of an approach starts in the families, it is the same thing that one carries from home into the offices or the work environments. So how different can it be? It is not really different, given the boys are given more freedom than the girls. Now this freedom word is a very relative word, but yes, if you are looking at the restrictions on the timing and the restrictions on to say that you must come home early, etc. I mean, as far as safety and security is concerned, it is no different for the boys as much as for the girls. I mean, the boys are also equally open or amiable to any of the threat, but yet the girls are given more this thing for two reasons. Thought for here we have to understand the parents' anxieties. One is in terms of the safety, one is in terms of the security. Other factor is that because the girls are physically weaker, I'm not saying emotionally, but physically more weaker than the boys, and therefore if there is a physical kind of attack, it is difficult for the girls to take it. And these are the reasons. It is more out of the concerns for the daughters and the girl child that the it's not the restrictions, but these are actually the concerns. So my request to you is to just put that slightly different specs on your eyes and see it is a concern of the parents which is speaking, which look like restrictions or kind of bindings. No doubt, girls are very confident. Girls are like in my own job, I was a global head and I used to travel across different countries. My travel within India was so much more. I used to travel at any given late in the night. I drive my own car. I drive without any apprehensions in the late night in Mumbai, and which is a very safe city. However, but yes, where the wisdom comes to me is when I am in particular cities, I do take care and I don't really say that I will do what I'm wanting to do just because I'm confident. No. But looking at the local conditions, looking at the local situations and the people, I do take care of myself. So it's more about one, it is more about concern, and it is also being wise as to know the difference to say what we have to do when that. Early marriage of the girls, I mean, the law is provided for 18 years for girls, 21 years for the boys. And generally, the girls get married around 21, 22. And it's just that whilst the here, whilst the girl is getting married, please understand the boy is also getting married. So the boys are also getting married around the age of 24, 25, or 26, which also now the boys, do they complain to say, why am I getting married so early? Perhaps not. It's just the perspective and the perceptions that we have to see. Why I'm talking about this is because it is the same kind of mental thinking that we take to the office and the work environment. And then it starts affecting and impacting our thinking and thought processes in the offices or the work or while dealing with the colleagues, while dealing with our own peer members. Girls expected to give jobs post marriages. I have really not much of a comment on that because I did not really face it, and very few girls that I have come across in my own journey have really given up jobs because post marriages, because it is an expectation from the marriage. But we will come to that part later where we will talk about how do we handle these situations. We will come to that part later. If we can move to the next slide of understanding the what of the whys, and to some extent, it is what I was just narrating to you, it is about the social structure. And if you look at the social structure and talk to your grandparents, the kind of the journey that they have gone through and your parents and my generation has gone through is phenomenal. I mean, the grandparents and their parents lived in an era which was a very, very conservative in the sense, not conservative in terms of thoughts, but a society which was very protected. It was communities, it was just one small place, small village, small town. Everybody knew everybody. There was a way of doing things. If there was a Diwali celebration, the Diwalis were celebrated everywhere with everyone in the same zeal. But over a period of time, and especially since the 90s, when the globalization has taken place and the technology revolution has taken place, things have changed drastically. So, these social structures, on one hand, you have the grandparents or the parents who have not really seen this kind of a globalization, and there is this next generation who is only living in the globalization or the technology or the digital world, and this gap is really too much. But perhaps when you people will turn, say, 50 and 60, and you will have your children, maybe that gap will be kind of be bridging together. Or maybe you will understand the next generation much better than what the parents are currently doing. And it's the same thing that goes into the corporates. Because I have faced, as an HR professional, I have faced the same problems where the bosses were in their 50s, late 50s, handing youngsters who are in their 20s, and this gap, this wide gap of the conservative, the old pre-liberalization, pre-globalization, and the post-liberalization, and this, there was a gap, and they would come and say, I don't know how to handle this young person. And the youngsters would come and say, I mean, he expects us to call him sir all the time. He doesn't even allow us to sit in front of him. So these are the gaps, and this is the social structure which you need to be conscious and aware of as you move further and as you go. Cannot see the Amrita says she cannot see the slide properly. Can we have this? Is the slide in the slideshow mode? Um, Chitra? I don't know, maybe Chitra is not able to hear. But Amrita, I've just put some pointers here to say that, it is the societal structure which I was talking about, the role expectation, the journey of the girls versus the journey of the boys, which we discussed and talked about. It's clearly visible, ma'am. Okay. So maybe, Amrita, you need to look at your network. Thanks, Chitra. And so these are some of the aspects that in today's session, this is like your foundation session. This is your base session. And these are the things as you're growing older and as you're going into the outside external world that you need to be very conscious about, because you will be facing these generations into your when you're working in your work environment. And so you need to be back of the mind, constantly think and say, hey, is he really talking about me? It's not so, but it is the generation gap. And how do I address it? Okay. So that is why I'm spending this time on it. If we look at, the women's education today, how many of your mother's generation really went through a formal education? Very few. But today you all are stepping into the this thing. Yet one point I would like to make here, and I would like to also make this point and say to the boys who are on the call as well, that you need to be conscious of the fact that the mother's generation did not really go through the education in a formal way, but your generation is going through the, I mean, we have so many girls already on the call, is going through education. And again, it's all about the perspective. It's all about the dimension. It's all about the glasses that you wear. So again, there is a gap in the thinking. So these are again some of the experiences which are there, and the gap is because of those societal structures which are existing. And now the women are coming out, yet the boys who have seen the mothers, maybe the boys also need to change the perspectives and say that, yeah, I'm choosing a life partner who is who's also gone through an education journey. And so there would be some kind of a difference of opinions between the older generation and the new generation, and I need to support and manage this. And why is it important? It's important because it's the same boys, y'all are the future leaders. And as leaders, when you go into the industry, it's you who's going to lead and bring in some kind of the harmony between the mixing harmony, nurturing between the two genders together, working amicably in the same work environment. And therefore, this is the perspective that as boys that you all need to develop, understand, and move ahead, because these what you are at home, it's the same person you are in the office. You are not two different people. And this is what you need to understand. It's about the culture, it's about the societal structure, it's about the generation gaps, it's about your what you have seen versus what you will be acquiring as in terms of experience. And trust me, you are, the moment you step out of the house, you don't turn into somebody different, but you are the same bundle of the culture upbringing that you have been raised in. And therefore you need to build now different perspectives to your own self and your thinking. Let's move to the next slide. Yeah. All right. Now, what has happened in past 3 decades? Like I mentioned, in past 3 decades has been really very, very disruptive. It has really disrupted the lives. It has disrupted the thinking. It has disrupted the, and I understand it very well because I also work. I also come. I go to the village, my own village in Karnataka, where I have lived. When we did the project, water irrigation project, way back in 1990, I spent 4 to 5 months. I lived in the village when there was no mobile phones, there was no electricity, proper electricity. With the moment the wind would come, the electricity would go off. And I have lived in the lamps as well, so I understand what that environment is. But the global exposure has today, in between 90, and this was 1990 until today, I mean, the entire village is transformed. There is so much of global exposure through the internet. There is the mobile phones, the smartphones, the reach of the communication, reach of the information is so high. The opportunities for girls is so much, and we there are so many government programs that have come for the women. There is inclusion of the women in the organized sectors, and these are the kind of the disruptions that have taken place, which again, when you look at a family, when you're staying with your family, with your grandparents, parents, and you, I mean, that this disruption is something that the parents don't understand. I mean, you would be coming across statements to say, Ari, why are you always on to looking into the mobile phone? All right. Why don't you talk to so and so? But today's generation says, I'll do WhatsApp. I will do, I will not really call up, but I send messages through WhatsApp. This is the kind of disruption. So it's all about, if we want to understand a diversity, it has to start from the families and homes. And second, when we start off looking at diversity, we have got to respect every diversity which exists in the society, be it a senior person, be it a middle person, be it a young person. And diversity is not just about man and women, but it is about these different backgrounds that each one comes from. That diverse background is what we need to understand. Knowing a man and a woman is the simplest thing to do, but understanding this diverse background in its true sense is the one which is very important, and we should understand that. Shall we move further? So now, when we look at the transitioning, what is the transitioning that we are all looking at, and what we should be thinking of? First and foremost, like I have been saying, that we have got to be aware of our socio ecological cultural awareness. We have got to understand our stakeholders. Now, on the first point, I have fairly talked to you about it earlier, so I will not really dwell on it. But the second point is the point that I would like to talk and spend some time with you students on the second point, that is understanding your stakeholders, internal and external. Now, who are your stakeholders? Hmm? Anybody? Would you like to put it in your chat? Who are your stakeholders? Right from the time you were born to now, or let's take the now, the recent one, your stakeholders are your teachers, your stakeholders are your friends, your stakeholders are your parents in the house, your stakeholders are your extended family members, your stakeholder is also the government if there is any norms to be followed. For example, the government would have laid out norms to say so much of attendance has to be in a year. Your parents, yeah, absolutely. So these are your stakeholders internally and externally. Tomorrow, when you get into the job, your stakeholders will be your organization. Your stakeholder will be your boss. Your stakeholders will be your peer members. Your stakeholders, as you go up the ladder, will be your team members, the people who report into you. So it's very important for you to understand your stakeholders completely. And like I said earlier, with their diverse background and their diverse kind of the nurturing and upbringing they've gone through. Same holds true for your parents. The way you have been brought up and raised, the same is not true for your parents. Your parents will be telling you many stories. The kind of days we saw, they were so difficult days. But that is the background they came from. Can't help it, but it has got to be respected. Every background has got to be respected. And when you start respecting this by this internals and external stakeholders, that is when your own transitioning, your own working in a harmony, your own perspectives of bringing in a unity will become much more stronger. Once again, it's not about how many girls and boys you're working with. It's about the background. It's the softer elements that is most important. Next point is about self respect and self regard, taking a stand. For example, when you look at the background, and in this journey, when you have to take a stand, you have to the first and foremost, the most important thing is respect your own self. When you respect yourself, you are actually respecting your convictions, your thought processes, your own thinking, and that is something that you need to stand for. Your own self regard has got to be high, very high to express your point of view. And that expression of point of view to say that I think this is the way to go. It's not to say that what I'm saying is right and the other person is wrong. No. But putting across your point of view is something that is very much appreciated and most required in the environments that you guys will be going in. And that becomes a very critical point. Alongside, when you're trying to put in your point, it's a kind of a conversation. Every interaction is a negotiation conversation. And when we are talking of negotiation, I like to say that it's not about negotiations happen only when you go to a shop to say, कितने में दिया भैया ये 50 का है नहीं 40 में दे दो. This is not negotiation. But it's a negotiation when you are discussing with your parents. Negotiation is a conversation between two people, each trying to put across their own point of view and the perspectives. Out of respect, you may tell your parents, fine, I will do what you say. आप जो कहेंगे मैं कर लूंगा. You may not be convinced about it. That's a very different matter altogether. But the conversations have got to be in a most with the fact that you are respecting the diversity, you're respecting the diverse background, you're respecting your own self. And when you respect yourself, you will respect the other person. And these conversations need to happen. Coming to the point where the girls asked, why do we have to give up give up job after marriage? My question is that before marriage, when you meet the girl, when you meet the boy, and when the boy meets the girl, and this is for the boys as well, are you all having these conversations to say, I would like to work? I would like to continue to, and it may not be 8 hours job. I may want to do part-time work. All right. If not in an office environment, I would like to do something, for example, take tuitions in the house. But I would like to make use of the education that I have taken. Do these conversations happen? And these must happen before marriage. These must happen with an understanding and the negotiations to take place to say, what is it that I am accepting? What is it that I will not accept? And I have known of cases in my own family where the girls have had some kind of these conversations and they're abiding by those conversations. In my own case, I got married 36 years ago. In my own case, I was already working. And I had made it very clear. I had said I would like to make a career. My husband was from the medical field, he had no problem. But these conversations must take place. And that is where you will start respecting the diversities, the diverse background, the upbringing, the culture, and appreciate those circumstances in which the person is working or comes from. My other point to the this is mainly to the girls is that one of the important element here is that create your own support system, create your own support infrastructure. For example, it is of common knowledge and very common here in the cities that where there are nuclear families, where there's a nuclear families, I mean, even for me, in my case, I had a vegetable vendor known. I had the everyone's phone numbers on the in the mobile. I had three persons who are in the house, domestic help, who were taking one to do the cooking, one to take care of my daughter, one to be there, one for the household work. This support system is extremely important and created in the places where you have joint families and extended families. Create your support systems within those, to say that, you know, who will support me when I need most. And that is an important question that, and I would urge sincerely the girls to answer this question, and the boys, it's the responsibility of the boys also to support the system or support the wife, in future going forward, to support their own spouse in the going forward. But in these transitioning from your societal background, from where you come from the nurturing, from the different generations that you come from, these are the transitionings that must take place. And this is the right time to take place now before you step into the corporate world, because the corporate world is very different. Because each one, I mean, imagine in your own home, if you have got 7, 8 people living together, in a corporate world, you are going to be there stepping into it where there are maybe hundreds of people, all from diverse background, different cultures, different set of experiences, different set of parents, and then all of you all are expected to work together in harmony towards the organization's goal. So these this basic, this is the foundation that you have got to be aware of. We move to the next one, the next slide. Now, some of the points that I would like to highlight here, and you know, leave some of the thoughts for you to think about. To say, it is negating the apprehensions of the family members. The points which are given here, negating the apprehensions of the family members, qualifying oneself, continued dialogue with the spouse and children, resilience, patience, having a mentor, guide, and counselor. Let us come to the first two and three points. Now, this is where a deeper introspection is something that I would recommend, and I would suggest you all to say to have, because understanding why do family members have apprehensions. Like I said earlier, is it the restrictions or is it the concern? This distinction is something that you need to know and understand very, very clearly. Once you understand that, then it becomes easier to have those conversations. It becomes easy to negotiate with them. It becomes easy to give them some kind of assurances. The second aspect that I would like you all to introspect and leave it as a point for you to think about is qualifying oneself, which means there is a very beautiful word in Hindi and Marathi which is called as yogyata. Yogyata, that is qualifying oneself, where the parents have or the family members have deep rooted belief to say, if this is done by so and so, it must be this. Do we have we become that yogya, elevated to qualify, and have we gained their confidence to that extent and level Now, this is a question that you need to answer. If the experiences have been to say that, very beautifully, let me quote a Marathi serial that I watch, and I watch it regularly. I like it. It's called as Fulala Sugandha Matisa. In that, this girl, young girl, she's received her 12th standard, her BA results, and in the BA results, she's got what she's failed, and she's got some 34% or something, or 20, 38 something, and she says I've got 83% and I have passed. Me pass झाले. मला 78 मार्क or 84 83 मार्क पडले, percentage पडले, and she's fooling the family. But when the family gets to know, they are, of course, deeply hurt. Then she passes, she attempts again. But the question is if these are the experiences that the family members have had, will we earn their confidence? And this is an introspection that you need to do, because what you are at home, you are at the office place also. In my own life and my own career and work environment, I have come across many people, some working with me, some otherwise, who would say, "Is this job done?" Yeah, 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 it's done completely. Yeah, 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 you will get it. But I would never get it. When will I get it? In half an hour? And that half an hour would not come. And then what would come was a shoddy job done, because this is your foundation. If you're used to this kind of a behavior, continued behavior at work, at home, the same thing is brought into the workspace. And then what happens is the confidence goes low of the boss, confidence of the superior goes low, and this is what results into the kind of, does one qualify to gain that kind of confidence? But mind you, why? You may say, what has it got to do with unity and diversity? But this is diversity. But this kind of this behaviors can be for girls as well as for boys. It's not really written anywhere that this is only how boys behave and this is only how girls behave. No. But these are the diverse backgrounds that one comes from. And this is what you need to understand, introspect. And if there are these tendencies which are coming, then going into a work environment in which there is more of unity, more of unified behavior of and achieving a common goal. My own philosophy, and I'm again once again repeating, when I talk of diversity, I just do not say it's only girls and the boys, but it is about these diverse backgrounds, understanding the diverse backgrounds. And where does it then impact? Once you understand it, where does it impact? It impacts in your interactions with your own colleagues, whether it's a female colleague, and for the females it's a boys colleague, male colleague. It impacts your interactions with the colleagues. There was a question asked to say, I'm very hesitant to talk to girls. I really don't feel confident. Yes, you will not feel confident. But if you understand the background, if you understand certain responses of the girls, the way they may respond to a particular situation, but if you realize that there's a basically this is because of this diverse background that one comes from the upbringing, your own response will become very different, which will be much more empathetic. And that's what we say, that if we have to understand diversity, if we have to work in the unified manner with the diverse population that comes into a work environment, then we have to be empathetic. But the empathy will come only when you understand this base level, which is called as diverse backgrounds. Is it? Are you able to relate to it? I would like to see a thumbs up. If it is kind of striking a chord in you, I would like to see a thumbs up then. Uh, the other point is of resilience and patience. Thank you so much, Pooja. Resilience and patience. Any change, thanks, Rajan, any change that is coming, you have got to be very patient. You have got to have the resilience, because understand, once again, it is about the years and years of a particular thinking process that is going on, and then you're saying change it. Change doesn't happen immediately. So you've got to be resilient. You've got to be patient. And this is where I go back to my old other point of saying negotiation conversations. To keep talking, to keep talking to the person, to keep appreciating what they are saying, trying to listen to what they are saying, and then having those conversations. The most important point that I would like to bring forth to you, and as you all step into the the corporates or the work environment, go out as professionals. Remember, all your life, it's better to have a mentor, a guide, a counselor. Now, who's a mentor? Today, even today, at this juncture of mine, I have a mentor, I have a counselor, I have a guide. And these are the people who are, first and foremost, they are your well wishers. They wish well for you. Second, a mentor is a person who also knows about the subject that you are into, knows the subject. Somebody with whom you can go and discuss very openly without the fear of being judged, without the fear of failing, without the fear of saying I don't know, without thinking that somebody may think I'm dumb. No, that mentor is that guide is that, a counselor, somebody, when sometimes your friends are counselors, to say it's okay, ignore it, or what is it that's troubling you. So it's nice to have, it's good, it's very healthy to have these people around you in your own sphere of your network. That is another very critical point when you're transitioning into the, and when we are going through the journey. Another point, something very interesting about life, what life is about. Life is almost every day it's a transition. Every day you're evolving, every day you're growing, every day you're learning something new. At times you remain where you are, but at times you move ahead. If you move ahead, you know what you have learned and what you're taking forward. But if you don't, and if you stand at the same point, ignoring it, you will lose out on many things. So, therefore, the transitioning, remember, happens every single day. We have to be aware of what that transition is, what we pick up, what we absorb, what we learn from it. And then, having understood all this, personally, I feel there is only one gender. Okay. And that one gender is, Chitra, if you can move to the next slide, please. That one gender is, once you are qualified, get into the work, you are all professionals. The only gender I have believed for myself is that I am a professional. No girl, no boy. Okay. Now, let me also narrate an experience to you. And I had joined a particular company organization, and in that organization, we used to take some trainees. The trainees would go through a training period of about, it was scattered 1 year, 2 years. And there was suddenly a complaint that came to me to say that a particular leader, project leader, somebody who's got about 5 to 6 years experience and having about 3 or 4 people reporting into him, he was troubling this girl, and this girl had come and complained to say he is troubling me and I'm not comfortable working with him. So we went into deeper into investigation. What is happening? What is the issue? Why is this girl not feeling comfortable? I mean, she had worked for 2 years. She had even got a promotion, and the boy had recommended a promotion. And what is it that suddenly happened in this 4 years journey that suddenly she's changed? It came to light that the girl, when she joined, and the boy, who was maybe with about 3 years experience then, or 2.5, 3 years experience then, I mean, they got on hit on very well. The girl, being a trainee, she thought the best way to work was to become too close and talk very, very familiarly. And then they came out that she had complained that this boy was sending on WhatsApp some statements and remarks which were not really very decent. Okay. But then it came to light that this girl was equally sending WhatsApp messages which were provoking, giving wrong impression to the boy. And it also came to light that this girl was initially kind of hooking on to him, but she had met somebody in the same group, somebody new person to whom she was attracted. And now she wanted to get rid of this man who was supposed to be her boss. So many times, and because you all are still into education, you all are completing education, you all will be stepping into this world, please don't ever try these things where you think that performance will be assessed based on your closeness or this friendly behavior with the boss. No, what works is being a professional. What works is your performance. What works there is your knowledge and your command over the knowledge. What works there is your ability to convert knowledge into application. The most important thing, your ability, your attitude, your openness in accepting to learn new things in the organization. Your attitude, the positivity, the positive attitude to learn, accept, be curious. Those are the things which will take you a long way. And therefore, when you get into the jobs, boys don't think you all are boys, girls don't think you're girls, but you all are professionals. Once you all are professionals, where is the question of any gender coming into being? So then there is no question of this gender being affected by the genders. But yes, organizations are saying that we want an equal representation of all parts of the society. So, therefore, we would like to have females working, we want to have men working, we would like to look at people coming with different perspectives, and that is how the diversity is being grown, and that is how we will encourage diversity and bring in unity in those. Nothing wrong about it. However, most important, as students, you first need to build yourself and grow as professionals and only as professionals before stepping into the corporate world. What does professionalism mean? And let's move to the next slide. It means first respecting every professional. Every professional that you meet, every professional that you talk, that you come in contact with. Recognizing the fact that each one of you is there to fulfill a goal, and that goal is the organization's goal. You are not joining an organization whilst your ambition is also there. Yes, you many times we say that, oh, I would like to join X company, so and so. Why? Because I'll gain a lot of knowledge. I have heard a lot of good things about the organization. Three, they are very, very fair, they're very impartial. All that, yes, that is your personal goal. But also, you're joining that organization with your capability, with your commitment and your passion to also fulfill the organization's goal. Next, it is meritorious work and reward based on performance. It's your performance that matters. As professionals, you need to be focusing on performance, not about the girl and boy. Girl and boy, there are different population. These are two different populations in the society, and obviously they are going to be in the same place of work, but not really looking at girls and boys as boys, but working there as professionals. Continually learning and developing yourself with the right attitude, right positive attitude, willingness. Curiosity is the key there. Be curious to learn, be curious to know. And the perspective of the job, working there for a job, एक salary मिल रहा है ना भाई, मैं join कर लेता हूँ. No, vis-a-vis being engaged in the work, joining an organization which gives you that satisfaction as a professional. And that is what being professional means. I have come across experiences and situations where now, okay, we'll move to the next Next slide, Chitra. And yeah, this is a slide that I would like to spend next 5 to 6 minutes upon, and that's really a very important slide, especially to understand that you have to be aware of the cultural gaps. Example. Now, my daughter, my daughter studies in Ukraine. Ukraine is in Europe. Okay? She's doing her medicine out there. On one of the occasions, me and my husband, we were in Ukraine. We had been there to visit our daughter, and a new batch of students came in to join that university. It's one of the oldest universities, Odessa National Medical University. And she was already in her third year, and this was the first year students, youngsters who are barely 18, 19-year old, came into that country. They were there, they were in that place, they had taken admissions, and I could see only see floods and floods of Indian students around in that place, in that corner. In that, I noticed one very young boy and a very young girl. They must have been barely 18 or 19 years, because these are all students who have done the 12th standard, 12th grade, and they're gone into they're gone for medicine, standing at the corner and hugging and kissing each other on the footpath. Why? Because what we see in the movies is, we see that the foreigners, any English movie you see, you will find, they would have seen some of the foreign girls and boys in the movie kissing on the footpath. Now, are we doing things? Questions to ask is, are we doing the things because we see something and we have a wrong notion? Would we have done these things standing at the nukkad of our gully, of our gaon ka gully? What are we trying to prove? I have known of cases, there was a batch of interns who had joined, the trainees who joined, and day two, the girl comes and tells me, "Ma'am, I'm very, please change my group. I don't want to be in this group." There were groups formed. The question was why? Question was, I asked her, "What is the reason? Why are you uncomfortable?" "Ma'am, because there is this boy and he keeps holding my hand while talking." I mean, what are we trying to prove? What are we trying to say? Do we do this in a normal course? Now, why I'm raising these questions with you all are because you all are also students. And tomorrow, when you go into the corporate world, it's not it's not about, again, the boy girl. It's about being a professional. Be professionals. Be a colleague. Keep that distance. Respect the personal space. And respecting the personal space is something that we really forget. Nobody likes being touched. Nobody likes being talked to in a very, very familiar manner. I have personally faced situations where I used to receive these WhatsApp messages, ugly WhatsApp messages, about, and I wrote back to this guy. I said, "Please don't write to me these, don't forward to me these uh, jokes about women." This guy would send me jokes about women. I said, I'm not here to appreciate these women negative jokes. Please don't send it. So be very cautious and conscious about what you're forwarding to whom and what. Sometimes, many times, and WhatsApp is the worst, I think one should do away with WhatsApp. It's just forward. कुछ आया फॉरवर्ड करो, कुछ आया फॉरवर्ड करो. अरे, but what am I forwarding? Why am I forwarding? For what purpose am I using WhatsApp? Think about these, because you people are now going to get into the outside world, which is a very different world than your university days. The immaturities will not work. The moment you get a job, nobody will say that, "Oh, poor, usko kya malum hai, oh, बहुत छोटा बच्चा है." नहीं. No, you are a professional, you are coming here for a job, you are employed, so you better behave like an adult. So get into these habits. In your own network where you have girls and boys, be very careful and cautious about the fact as to say, what are you forwarding? What are those things you are sending as jokes? So these are things that you need to be very, very, very careful about. Avoid taking liberties. And there is something called as POSH, which is Prevention of Sexual Harassment at Workplace. It is a law. Be very careful. Read this particular act, because even now there was let me again share some experience with you. One day a girl employee came and she complained to me to say that I want to make a complaint under POSH. I said, what is it? So she said, there is this guy who called me and he showed me a video to see dekhna video kaisa hai. So when I saw the video, it was a obscene video. Showing an obscene video is also it's an act which is in violation of the of this particular act, Prevention of Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act. So be very careful, guys. You all are going to be professionals. And these are not the things that can really help you in building your performance at the work. What really will help you is your own performance. But why are we talking about this? And what is that unity in this? So, understanding these diversities, understanding these diverse backgrounds, understanding this culture, understanding some of these spaces that each one comes from, that you need to work in a harmony and in a unity within the work environment. Another example, I have worked most of the time in the IT industry. Now, many times in a movie, we see the hero, when he goes out, he sees a white girl. He will chase the girl, hold her, try to be friendly with her, try to become personal with her. But the real life, in reality, the white girls are extremely careful, extremely conscious, and extremely self respecting as far as their personal space is concerned. You will not find anybody touching each other. You will not find anybody even coming close to each other unless with permission. These are the things that you need to be aware of, careful about, and take out some of the myths, the thinking, and take out some of those what we see in the movies, especially the Hindi movies, and overcome those to respect, to bring in the unity amongst the diversity and the diverse cultures that we all come from. We have another maybe about 5 minutes more, couple of minutes. Any questions? I would like to take them.
Thank you, madam. Students, if you all have any questions, please put it up in the chat window.
I think we started about 2 minutes late, Ramya. So
Yes,
we
sir.
just go over this thing?
Yes, madam.
So even to the question that was received to say, I don't feel confident, I feel very hesitant to talk to girls. My submission to the gentleman is that once you recognize yourself as a professional, once you start respecting that person's space, when you start respecting that discretion, that hesitancy will go away, because there you are actually creating your eligibility, your yogyata before the girl, and the girl will know that you, the gentleman, she can talk to openly and without any fear of being looked upon as a girl.
Madam, a student has messaged me. I'll just read out the question.
Yeah.
How a working women addresses a very common perception at workplace that women take leaves frequently or women don't stretch at work like their male colleagues.
It's a myth. It's a myth, and it's unfortunately one of those subconscious the stereotype thinking. Girls में ये तो छुट्टी लेती रहेंगी. But trust me, I have worked for so many years, and there is absolutely no such thing. I've killed myself working long hours, traveling, and this is true for most of the professional girls. The exceptions who do that, unfortunately, that becomes a kind of, that comes to notice, but it is not so. Why there is no liberty to girl to move or relocate to another location for job and equation purpose? Sally, this is something that you need to negotiate with your own family and your own environment that you are in. There is liberty. Girls have been moving. Girls have been living in other cities. In fact, you will find a lot of North Indian girls coming into West and South and making their careers and staying there. But it's about how you put it across. What is the kind of confidence you're giving to your own parents or to your own family members to say that, let me try? Or there are various ways to negotiate it. For example, you could tell your mother perhaps that, you come and stay with me for 6 months. You see the environment, you stay with me for 3 months, and you see how the environment is. Those are the kind of conversations that you can have. But liberty, yes, there are a lot of girls who are staying away from the family. No, ma'am. Puja Varkat. Uh, Puja, what does this know about? Maybe you could put a private chat to Ramya. Um, Sally, these are the conversations that you need to have. And the question is also, why do you want to go there? Why do you want to necessarily relocate? Is it because you're genuinely wanting to, because of a job that you're passionate about? Or is it for the sake of moving across? What is it that is drawing you to that other place? That also is a question that you need to answer.
Thank you, ma'am. There's another question. How to handle a situation where a colleague is being culturally insensitive to you?
How do you handle it? I guess this is from a girl. Okay, now, okay, is culturally insensitive. I would recommend the best way is to have a conversation. And best way is also to make it very clear. Like, for example, when I gave my own example, where this male colleague who used to send some WhatsApp, on the WhatsApp, he would send some jokes in the context of the women. I had a talk. I said, I don't like these jokes. Please don't send it to me. It's best to have the conversation. And if the person still does not understand, better avoid the person. Better to avoid. Shraddha, you written about, can you elaborate about spiritual feminism? Honestly, I've not understood this question of yours. What is the spiritual feminism? Are you talking about the saints, female saints in say in Maharashtra or this part of the city country? The spiritual feminism, I've really not understood this question. If you can elaborate, that would be helpful. With best ways to have conversations, talk, think, introspect, reflect, and more importantly, when you're going out taking up other jobs, you will be looked as professionals. With lot of responsibility will be posed on you, and you will have to be sensitive to many factors. I hope within the given time that we have, 1 hour, uh, at least I would like to leave some of the thoughts for all of you to introspect.
Thank you so much, madam. It was indeed very informative and insightful session. I'm sure all of us have something to take back this evening. Chitraji, I request you to give the vote of thanks. Over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Ramya. Uh, Hello, everyone. Ma'am, we are extremely grateful to you for a session that has helped us realize how important it is to respect and appreciate what makes each one of us different in terms of age, gender, ethnicity, religion, disability, sexual orientation, education, and national origin, which are the key factors in building a healthy society. Thank you, ma'am, for making us understand that each individual in an organization brings with them a diverse set of perspectives, work, and life experiences, as well as religious and cultural differences. The power of diversity can only be unleashed and its benefits reaped when we recognize these differences and learn to respect and value each individual, irrelevant of their background. Thank you, ma'am, once again for your time, efforts, and sharing your thoughts on unity in diversity. Thank you, students, and all of you present today for attending the session. Thank
I
you.
would really thank you, Chitra. I would really love to thank the students very much. And Shraddha, it will be very interesting to have a detailed you elaborating about your question. Maybe you could send it to Ramya or to Chitra, and we'll try and come back to you with our feedback on that. But thank you so much, everyone. I really enjoyed being here. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
All
Yeah,
right.
thank you so much.
Thank you.